For the Big Ten right now, they're looking to add Washington, Oregon, FSU, and Clemson. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, to touch on it beforehand, you're right. This is how what we've reduced ourselves to here. This college football season is being so irrelevant time of year as far as college football goes. We got to talk about expansion, and I'll be honest with you guys, I could really care less. It's going to end up being two power conferences at the end of the day. I don't care who is in what spot personally, just my opinion. But Big Ten, yeah, Washington, Oregon, they're the two biggest names left over there in the Pac-12 by far. You guys got to remember, this doesn't just entail football. It's all sports, volleyball. They kick ass over there. Their basketball programs are pretty legit as well. So, yeah, is it good for the Big Ten? Sure. Florida State, Clemson. I'm still I read a lot on this the last couple of days. Christian, I want to hear your thoughts on especially those two ACC teams there. I thought they signed a clause a couple years ago that they couldn't leave the ACC so people would quit doing this. Am I wrong, or educate me, if you will?
From what I've been seeing on this and the research I've dug up is technically they're free to leave whenever they want. Now, there's been some numbers that have been thrown around, in regards to Clemson and Florida State, because there's a buyout they'd have to come up with. I think it's some people are reporting like $120 million. Some people are reporting like they would have to pay $30 million a year for 10 years. It's this weird shit that we live in where it's a bunch of like Twitter trolls mixed with like people that know what's going on. Then there's a whole other side of it where there's the grant of rights, which is the individual money that schools can make from TV deals. But the ACC, they all pretty much waive that, and that all gets put back to the conference. So technically speaking, the way it should work is, if Florida State or Clemson were to dip out of this TV deal, which they were super excited to sign this when they did this, what was this back in like 2016, 2018, something like that. They were really super excited about it, but now they start seeing these SEC schools and these Big Ten schools making $60 million a year, and they want to get a piece of that. The only problem is, they're so jammed up and trying to have to do this. I just don't see why this would make sense for them. Right now, anyways. Like, I could see it if you were like Texas or Oklahoma, or even one of these Pac-12 schools. Like, I get the Washington, Oregon thing. That makes sense to me, right? Because the Pac-12, they can't even put a TV. Yeah, they can't even put a TV deal together right now, right? Let alone keep these conferences together. The Florida State and Clemson thing. I mean, let's just say this, right? Let's say that somebody's right with all of this, and they're like, they strike a deal and they say, okay, we'll let you out of it. You just have to pay $30 million a year for the next 10 years. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, Florida State and Clemson make about $30 million a year to play football in the ACC. So if they jump over to the Big Ten or the SEC and they get offered $60 million a year, but they have to pay $30 million of that back, they're going to make $30 million, essentially the same amount of money to go to a stronger conference. And if you're Florida State, don't shoot me, but when's the last time they won the ACC championship?
Yeah, exactly.
When's the last time they played relevant football other than last year? Right? I mean, it's been a while. I mean, they've had some decent seasons, but trying to... Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, dude. I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense. And Clemson, Clemson could probably go over and compete, but I'm still not super high on Clemson going over to... you put Clemson in there with Alabama, Georgia, some of those teams in the SEC that we know, hell, they might struggle to be the fourth or fifth best team in the SEC.
Well, I mean, they're adding in Texas and Oklahoma next year. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess here's my stance about the ACC schools, which is surprising to me. I said this, I think, a couple pods ago, guys, was like, the ACC isn't that far away from being relevant. They need a couple teams to step up. We talk a lot about North Carolina this year and Mac Brown with Drake May and those guys, right? Miami's a school to me that just they need to be relevant again. If they get 4 or 5 schools over in the ACC, and what I mean by relevant is competing for. Miami wishes they were Florida State right now. That's essentially what they want to be. I mean, up in those top 15 rankings week in and week out, and maybe beating an SEC school, a high-end SEC school. I think this would help a lot personally, just for college football. Like I said, guys, I don't really give a shit what conference you're in. I like NCAA football better when there's more conferences. I think that makes it fun. They're expanding the playoffs. We're going to get to see more of these schools that don't get to play each other next year when they expand to 12. So again, at the end of the day, Christian, you know this, so it comes down to money. That's exactly why Nebraska left the Big 12, in 2011 or whatever, to go over to the Big 10. It was all about money. And I guess, the Pac-12 schools, like you said, yeah, I don't blame them. They can't get a TV deal done over there, and they keep kicking the damn can down the road. Their commissioner does, or whatever you want to call them. They don't know what the hell they're doing. It's a sad day when Colorado leaves, Christian. I mean, right away. I mean, Colorado, of all schools, said, yeah, we're getting the hell out of here and going back to the conference that we were just in not too long ago. So that's my take on that one, Christian. Good points, though.